What should we learn about today? Welcome to the Artist Series. I'm Catherine, and I have a master's degree in art history. And in this series, we're going to explore artists and creatives who define movements, challenge conventions, and reshape culture. This is art history you should know. Today, I want to tell you about Beauford Delaney, an American artist known for his bold, expressionistic art and a significant impact on the Harlem Renaissance. Delaney was born in Knoxville, Tennessee on December 30th, 1901. As a teenager, he was discovered by chance when he left his sketchbook at work one day. His boss was so impressed that he introduced Delaney to a local artist who ultimately provided him art lessons in exchange for help in his studio. Eventually, Delaney left Tennessee to head to Boston, where he took classes at the Copley Society and the South Boston School of Arts while supporting himself as a janitor. However, Delaney knew he needed to get to New York City. He was drawn to the energy and creativity that was flourishing as a result of the Harlem Renaissance, while also in search of a larger community of Black artists and creatives. So in 1929, he moved to New York and ultimately settled into the Greenwich Village avant-garde scene. While Delaney had high hopes for the city, he struggled to obtain the education he craved, as many art schools at the time were refusing to admit Black students. Delaney also struggled with the fear of people finding out about his sexuality and often resorted to isolation because of this. However, Delaney continued to produce art, and much of his art included vivid pastel portraits and charcoal sketches. And he ended up getting the opportunity to show 12 of his works at the Whitney Studio Galleries, which later became the Whitney Museum of Art. And even with this recognition, he still was unable to pay his bills. In order to make extra money, Delaney ended up becoming a caretaker and then a telephone operator, an occasional doorman and guard at the Whitney. While Delaney had a talent for identifying light and color, he struggled to find his identity as an artist during this period of modernism. In part, this was due to his profound struggle with mental illness and relentless self-criticism. While living in New York City, Delaney met James Baldwin, a young writer who later became one of Delaney's closest friends, with a friendship that lasted nearly 40 years. Baldwin actually considered Delaney his greatest mentor, and they shared a true intellectual and creative exchange. Their bond formed through shared experiences of exclusion as Black gay artists navigating poverty, racism, and homophobia in the United States. And in 1953, Delaney moved to Paris to pursue his art, following Baldwin, who had moved to the city a few years prior. During this time, many Black American artists moved to France to escape the racial discrimination and segregation in the U.S. and to obtain more artistic opportunities. They felt more valued, and they were. He was also provided more legal protections as a gay man, which was incredibly important. After moving to Paris, his work transformed. His paintings started to get bolder, brighter, more abstract. Instead of trying to capture the world exactly as he saw it, he began focusing on how it felt to him, using colors and form to express his own emotional response to what was around him. He experimented with texture, technique, and color, especially yellow, which some art historians attribute to Delaney's search for light and healing as he continued to struggle with his mental health and worsening alcoholism. Delaney believed that the color held spiritual significance and called yellow his sacred light. You can see in this portrait of Ella Fitzgerald. While Delaney's work flourished over the next 20 years, his mental health deteriorated. Baldwin wrote of Delaney, "He has been menaced more than any other man I know by his social circumstances and also by all the emotional and psychological stratagems he has been forced to use to survive. And more than any other man I know, he has transcended both inner and outer darkness." Delaney died in a Paris psychiatric hospital on March 26th, 1979, at the age of 77, after decades of battling alcoholism and mental health struggles. Beauford Delaney lived an incredible life, and we are lucky to be able to witness the world through his eyes by way of his work. While many remember Delaney for the incredibly difficult life he lived, he was known to people close to him as being affable, generous, kind, and an incredibly good friend to all who knew him. And I really don't want that to be lost when remembering who he was. His close friend, Georgia O'Keeffe, described his work as a special experience and a special kind of thought. She produced this charcoal portrait of Delaney in 1943, and while O'Keeffe produced thousands of works throughout her life, she produced very few portraits. But 5 of those were of Delaney, an ode to the fondness she had for him. Of course, there is so much more to learn about Beauford Delaney and the impressive life he led, from his upbringing to his impact on the Harlem Renaissance and how he used art to express himself. And if you found any of this interesting, I would encourage you to take a deeper dive into Beauford Delaney's life, art, and legacy. Thanks for listening. See you next time.